Have you noticed something deeply frustrating happening to your body lately? You eat less than you used to. You try to be careful. You go for walks. You cut back on sweets. Maybe you even skip meals sometimes because you think, if I just eat a little less, surely this weight has to come off. And yet that belly fat stays. It sits there stubbornly. It feels different from the weight you used to gain when you were younger. Back then, if you cut back on bread, stayed active for a week, or watched your portions a little more carefully, you could usually see a difference. But now it feels like your body is ignoring you. You wake up, look in the mirror, pull at your shirt, and wonder, what happened to me? You may even blame yourself. You may think you've lost discipline, that your metabolism is broken, that maybe this is just what getting older looks like and there's nothing you can do. But I want to tell you something clearly, directly, and honestly. You are not lazy, you are not weak, and you are not imagining this. For many people over 60, belly fat becomes harder to lose not because they stopped trying, but because their biology changed, quietly, gradually, often without anyone explaining it properly. Hormones shift, muscle mass declines, inflammation becomes more common, sleep often worsens, stress chemistry changes, insulin sensitivity may drop, and the body begins storing fat differently, especially around the midsection. That means if you are still using the same strategies that worked at 35 or 45, you may feel as if your body has stopped responding. But that does not mean you are powerless. Because once you understand what is actually happening, you can work with your body instead of fighting against it. And one of the smartest ways to begin is with food. Not starvation, not punishment, not another impossible diet, not expensive powders, fat burners, or miracle supplements. Just food. Today I'm going to walk you through 9 ordinary foods that can support a healthier metabolism after 60, help reduce the conditions that encourage belly fat accumulation, and make it easier for your body to do what it used to do more naturally. These are not magic foods. They do not melt fat overnight, but they do support the systems that matter most: blood sugar regulation, inflammation control, muscle maintenance, hormone balance, gut health, satiety, and fat metabolism. And when those systems improve, belly fat often becomes much more manageable. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will know exactly what these 9 foods are, why they matter, and how to start using them in a simple, realistic way. And if you are someone over 60 who wants practical, science-informed health guidance without hype, please take a second to subscribe. I share new videos every week designed to help you protect your energy, your independence, and your long-term health. And if you do subscribe, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I truly love seeing this community grow from all over the world. Now let's begin with something important. Why belly fat after 60 feels so different. Not all body fat behaves the same way. The fat just under your skin is called subcutaneous fat. That is the softer fat you can pinch on your arms, thighs, or waist. But deeper inside the abdomen is another kind of fat called visceral fat. This fat surrounds internal organs like the liver, pancreas, and intestines. And while some amount of it is normal, too much visceral fat is associated with a higher risk of serious health problems, including type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, fatty liver, and metabolic dysfunction. This is why belly fat is not only about appearance, it is also about health. And after 60, several things make it easier for visceral fat to build up and harder to lose. First, there is hormonal change. In women, estrogen declines after menopause. In men, testosterone often gradually decreases with age. Both changes can influence how the body stores fat, often shifting more of it toward the abdomen. Second, there is muscle loss. Many adults begin losing muscle steadily as they age, especially if they are not doing any resistance exercise or eating enough protein. Since muscle tissue helps support metabolic health, losing muscle can make it easier to gain fat and harder to manage weight. Third, there is insulin resistance. As cells become less responsive to insulin, blood sugar control becomes less efficient. The body may produce more insulin to compensate, and over time that can encourage more fat storage, especially in the abdominal area. Fourth, there is chronic low-grade inflammation. This is common with aging, poor sleep, stress, inactivity, and certain dietary patterns. And inflammation can interfere with hunger signals, metabolic flexibility, and how the body uses energy. Finally, there is the lifestyle reality many older adults face: less sleep, more stress, less movement, medications, joint pain, and years of deeply ingrained habits. So if belly fat now feels harder to lose than it used to, that makes sense. The good news is that food can help address many of these factors at once. Let's go through the 9 foods. Food number 1, avocado. Avocado is one of the best foods you can eat if you are trying to support a healthier waistline without feeling deprived. Why? Because avocado is rich in monounsaturated fat, especially oleic acid, along with fiber, potassium, and plant compounds that support fullness and overall metabolic health. A lot of people over 60 make the mistake of trying to fight belly fat by cutting fat too aggressively. They eat dry toast, plain crackers, low-fat snacks, and tiny meals that leave them hungry an hour later. Then by evening, cravings hit hard. Avocado helps solve that problem. It slows digestion, it improves satiety, it makes meals more satisfying. And when meals are more satisfying, you are less likely to overeat later. It may also support better blood sugar stability when added to meals, which matters because large blood sugar swings can worsen hunger, fatigue, and fat storage over time. And potassium helps too. Many older adults consume too much sodium and not enough potassium. That can contribute to water retention and bloating, making the midsection feel even heavier. You do not need a huge amount. Half an avocado a day is enough for most people. Add it to eggs in the morning. Slice it onto a salad, mash it on whole grain toast, or pair it with beans and vegetables for lunch. Simple, filling, effective. Food number 2, blueberries. If I had to choose one fruit that deserves a permanent place in a healthy aging diet, blueberries would be very high on the list. Blueberries are rich in compounds called anthocyanins, which give them their deep blue color. These plant compounds have been studied for their potential role in inflammation control, vascular health, insulin sensitivity, and cellular protection. In plain language, blueberries may help support some of the very systems that often become less efficient with age. They are also one of the easiest health foods to use consistently. You do not need to juice them. You do not need to turn them into some complicated recipe. You just need to eat them regularly. Blueberries are naturally sweet, but unlike many processed sweet foods, they come packaged with fiber and beneficial plant compounds. That makes them a much smarter choice than pastries, sugary cereals, or dessert snacks that spike blood sugar and leave you hungry again. For many older adults, the real value of blueberries is not that they are a miracle fruit. It is that they help replace worse options while adding something useful at the same time. 1 cup a day is a great target. Fresh or frozen both work. You can put them in plain yogurt, oatmeal, cottage cheese, or just eat them by themselves. And if you are someone who craves something sweet after dinner, a bowl of berries is one of the easiest upgrades you can make. Food number 3. Fatty fish. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, trout, and herring are among the most powerful foods for healthy aging in general, and they are especially useful when belly fat is part of the problem. Why? Because these fish provide high-quality protein and omega-3 fatty acids, a combination that supports metabolism from multiple angles. The protein helps preserve muscle mass, and muscle matters enormously after 60. The more muscle you maintain, the better your body tends to handle blood sugar, physical function, and calorie use. The omega-3s help support heart health and may help reduce inflammatory burden, which is important because chronic inflammation can make metabolic health worse. Many people focus so much on calories that they forget the body is not just a calculator. It is a living system responding to the quality of what you eat. A 300-calorie meal of packaged snack food does not do the same job as a 300-calorie meal built around salmon and vegetables. Fatty fish nourishes, it satisfies, it supports muscle, and it often helps people reduce their intake of more processed foods simply because it makes meals feel more complete. If fresh salmon is expensive where you live, do not overlook canned sardines or canned salmon. They are affordable, practical, and extremely nutritious. Aim for 2 to 3 servings a week. If you can make one dinner swap this week, swap a processed frozen meal or takeout meal for fish, vegetables, and olive oil. That one change alone can move you in the right direction. Food number 4, green tea. Green tea is often underestimated because it feels too simple. It is not flashy, it is not marketed like a supplement, it is just tea. But sometimes the most effective habits are the least dramatic. Green tea contains compounds called catechins, including one called EGG, which has been studied for its effects on metabolism and fat oxidation. The effects are not massive, and green tea is not a cure-all, but it may offer gentle support, especially when used consistently. More importantly, green tea can become a powerful replacement habit. Many people drink their calories without realizing how much it affects their waistline. Sweet coffee drinks, bottled teas, juices, sodas, flavored creamers, and evening alcohol can quietly add hundreds of calories a day without creating real fullness. Replacing even 1 or 2 of those drinks with unsweetened green tea can help. It gives you a ritual, it gives you warmth, it gives you something to sip, and it can help reduce the automatic cycle of snacking and sugar seeking. 3 cups a day is a reasonable target if your stomach tolerates it and your doctor has not told you to limit caffeine. If caffeine is an issue, earlier in the day is usually best. Drink it plain if you can. If you must sweeten it, use only a small amount. The goal is to shift your palate, not keep feeding a sugar habit in a different form. Food number 5, cruciferous vegetables. Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, kale. These vegetables may not seem exciting, but they are incredibly valuable, especially after 60. Cruciferous vegetables are high in fiber, low in calories, and rich in compounds that support detoxification pathways, cellular protection, and overall metabolic health. They also do something very practical. They add volume to meals. One of the best ways to eat less without feeling punished is to build meals around foods that take up space, require chewing, and create fullness. Cruciferous vegetables do exactly that. A plate with roasted salmon and a tiny side of white bread is not going to satisfy the same way as salmon with a generous serving of broccoli or cauliflower. And because these vegetables are rich in fiber, they may also support gut health and help with regularity, another issue many older adults struggle with but rarely talk about. Some people digest cruciferous vegetables better when they are cooked instead of raw. If raw broccoli or cabbage makes you feel bloated, try steaming, roasting, or sautéing them instead. You do not have to force giant portions. Just aim to include at least 1 serving a day, a bowl of cabbage soup, roasted Brussels sprouts at dinner, steamed broccoli with olive oil and garlic, cauliflower added to a stir-fry. These foods are not glamorous, but they are reliable, and reliable is what works. Food number 6, eggs. Eggs are one of the most efficient, affordable, and underappreciated foods for adults over 60. They are rich in high-quality protein, they are easy to prepare, and they can help you start the day in a way that supports appetite control rather than fighting it. A lot of people wake up and eat a breakfast that is mostly refined carbohydrate. Toast, jam, sweet cereal, muffins, pastries, or flavored instant oatmeal. That kind of breakfast may feel light, but it often leads to a blood sugar rise, then a crash, then mid-morning hunger. Eggs give you a different kind of start. They are satisfying. They help reduce the urge to snack, and they provide protein that helps support muscle maintenance, which is especially important as you age. Eggs also contain nutrients like choline, B vitamins, and other compounds that support normal body function. And for many people, they are one of the simplest ways to improve breakfast without spending more money. Try 2 eggs with vegetables, or eggs with avocado, or eggs with a side of fruit and plain yogurt. What matters is not just that you ate breakfast. What matters is whether that breakfast helps your body feel stable and satisfied for the next several hours. For most healthy adults, eggs can fit very well into a balanced diet. If your personal physician has given you special instructions because of a specific medical condition, follow that advice. But for many people, eggs are a smart and practical choice. Food number 7, garlic. Garlic may seem small, but it carries surprising value. It adds flavor, which matters because one of the reasons people abandon healthy eating is that they get bored. Food becomes bland, repetitive, and joyless. Then they drift back to heavily processed options because those are more stimulating. Garlic helps solve that. But beyond taste, garlic also contains sulfur compounds that have been studied for their potential role in cardiovascular support, immune function, and inflammation control. Again, I want to be responsible here. Garlic is not a belly fat cure, but it is one of those foods that supports overall health while making healthy meals much easier to enjoy. And that matters. Because the best diet is not the perfect one, it is the one you can sustain. Garlic can turn vegetables from forgettable to delicious. It can make beans more satisfying. It can make fish feel restaurant quality. And when healthy food tastes better, consistency improves. If you enjoy garlic, use it generously in cooking. Crush or chop fresh garlic and let it sit briefly before cooking if you want to preserve more of its active compounds. Then add it to soups, sautéed greens, lentils, roasted vegetables, tomato dishes, and olive oil-based meals. Something as simple as broccoli sautéed with garlic and olive oil is not a diet food. It is real food. And real food is often what the body responds to best. Food number 8. Legumes. Lentils, black beans, chickpeas, kidney beans, white beans, split peas. If you are over 60 and trying to lose belly fat, legumes deserve serious attention. They are inexpensive, they are filling, they are rich in fiber, they provide plant protein, and they are excellent for appetite control. One of the most important benefits of legumes is how steady they tend to be. They digest more slowly than refined carbohydrates, which can help reduce blood sugar spikes and keep hunger more manageable. That matters because people often gain abdominal fat not just from overeating at one meal, but from a constant cycle of unstable hunger. They eat something light and sugary, get hungry again quickly, snack again, crash again, and repeat. Legumes help slow that cycle down. They are also great for the gut. The fiber in beans and lentils feeds beneficial gut bacteria, and a healthier gut environment may support better metabolic function overall. For many people, legumes also solve a practical problem: cost. Healthy eating is often presented as if it requires expensive powders, imported products, or specialty meals. But a pot of lentil soup, a bean salad, or chickpeas added to a vegetable dish can be both affordable and deeply nourishing. Aim for about 1 cup a day if it works for your digestion. If you are not used to eating beans, start smaller and increase gradually. Lentils in soup, black beans with eggs, chickpeas in a salad, white beans with olive oil and herbs. Simple food. Strong results over time. Food number 9. Extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil is one of the smartest fats you can keep in your kitchen. Not light olive oil, not vegetable oil, not butter on everything. Real extra virgin olive oil. Why does it matter? Because extra virgin olive oil contains beneficial monounsaturated fats and polyphenols that support cardiovascular and metabolic health. It is a cornerstone of the Mediterranean dietary pattern, one of the most well-studied eating patterns for long-term health. And one of the reasons it works so well is that it makes healthy food more satisfying. Drizzle olive oil over vegetables, and suddenly they taste rich. Add it to beans, and the meal feels complete. Use it in a salad, and you increase both flavor and satisfaction. This is important because many people trying to lose weight make food too dry, too bland, and too joyless. Then they cannot stick with it. A good diet must be livable. Olive oil helps make it livable. It may also help reduce reliance on less helpful fats and processed dressings loaded with sugar, additives, and low-quality oils. 2 tablespoons a day is a reasonable amount for many people, especially when used in place of more processed fats. Use it on cooked vegetables. Use it in salad dressing. Use it with beans, fish, or soups. The point is not to drown your meals in oil. The point is to use a high-quality fat in a way that makes healthy eating sustainable. What these 9 foods really do, now let's step back and look at the bigger picture. The power of these foods is not that any one of them is magical. It is that together they support the exact areas that often become more vulnerable after 60. Avocado and olive oil help with satiety and healthier fat intake. Blueberries and green tea provide plant compounds that support metabolic health and control hunger. Cruciferous vegetables and legumes provide fiber, volume, and blood sugar support. Garlic adds both flavor and helpful plant compounds, making consistency easier. When people hear lose belly fat, they often think only in terms of eating less. But after 60, the smarter question is often this: how do I eat in a way that helps my body become less inflamed, better nourished, more satisfied, more stable, and more metabolically resilient? That is a very different question, and it usually leads to much better results. The mistake that ruins progress. There is one mistake I see over and over again. People get inspired, they watch a health video, they feel hopeful, and then they try to change everything at once. They throw out all their food, they buy 20 new ingredients, they create a perfect plan, and 3 days later they are overwhelmed, tired, and back to doing what they were doing before. Please do not do that. You do not need a total life overhaul by tomorrow morning. You need consistency. And consistency usually begins with a very small number of repeatable actions. So here is a smarter approach. Pick 3 of these 9 foods. Not all 9, just 3. Pick the 3 that feel easiest, cheapest, and most realistic for your life. Maybe that is eggs, blueberries, and olive oil. Maybe it is lentils, broccoli, and green tea. Maybe it is avocado, salmon, and garlic. Then commit to using those 3 foods consistently for the next 30 days. Not perfectly, consistently. That is the standard. Because when you repeat the same helpful behaviors over and over, your body begins to respond. Maybe slowly at first, but it responds. You may notice less bloating, better energy, fewer cravings, better digestion, improved fullness after meals, and in time, a waistline that begins to change. A truth many people need to hear. Let me say something that I think a lot of people over 60 need to hear more often. You do not need to punish your body into health. You do not need to starve yourself. You do not need to fear every calorie. You do not need to spend your days feeling hungry, deprived, and discouraged. You need a strategy that respects the body you have now. The body you have now may need more protein than it used to. It may need more fiber than it used to. It may need steadier blood sugar, better sleep, less alcohol, more walking after meals, a little strength training, less stress, and food that truly nourishes instead of just fills space. That is not failure. That is adaptation. And adaptation is wisdom. One more thing, food matters, but it is not the whole story. If you really want to reduce belly fat after 60, food is essential, but it works even better when paired with a few other basics. Walk after meals when you can. Even 10 minutes helps. Do some form of resistance work 2 or 3 times a week if your body allows it. That could be light dumbbells, resistance bands, chair squats, wall push-ups, or supervised exercise. Muscle is your ally. Protect your sleep. Poor sleep can worsen hunger, cravings, blood sugar, and abdominal weight gain. And talk to your doctor if weight gain has been sudden, severe, or accompanied by other symptoms. Sometimes medications, thyroid issues, poor sleep apnea control, depression, or other medical factors need attention too. Healthy eating works best when it is part of a bigger picture, but food is still one of the most powerful places to start because you have repeated opportunities every day to make a better choice. Breakfast is a chance. Lunch is a chance. Dinner is a chance. Even the grocery store is a chance. And the more often you make a good decision, the less trapped you begin to feel. Your 30-day challenge. So here is your simple challenge. Choose 3 of the 9 foods from today's video. Write them down, buy them this week, and build them into your meals for the next 30 days. Do not wait for the perfect Monday. Do not wait for motivation. Do not wait until life gets less busy. Start with what you can do now. If you stay consistent, you may be surprised by what changes, not only in your waistline, but in your mood, your digestion, your confidence, and your sense of control. Because that may be the most important part of all. When belly fat refuses to budge, many people start to feel betrayed by their body. They feel old, defeated, embarrassed, invisible. But progress changes that feeling. Progress reminds you that your body is still listening. It may need a different language now, but it is still listening, and that is something worth remembering. If this video helped you, subscribe and share it with someone over 60 who needs encouragement and practical guidance. And in the comments, tell me which 3 foods you are choosing for your 30-day challenge. I'd love to know where you're starting. Take care of yourself, be patient with yourself, and remember, your health is not lost,